Right, it's time for sports with something a little bit different for whatever day this is you're watching. For me, it's Sunday. For Boogerbeard, it's Saturday. Instead of an athlete or a coach, we've got. I guess you'd call yourself a super fan of the sport, maybe.
Well, and a world champion, don't forget.
Yes, one-time UFC middleweight championship holder, MMA Twitter legend Boogerbeard joins us, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Oh,
It's
no
fucking
worries.
awesome. Am I allowed to curse? I should ask.
Yeah, you can curse, you can do what you want. It's
Oh,
great.
good.
Yeah, the internet's good for things like that.
Yeah, your curse words are different than ours, though. Like you guys have curse words that are just like normal to you, and if we say them, it's like we lose our jobs. And I mean, it's terrible, man. Like you can't even say them on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty fast and loose with the old curse words down here.
I like that. I'm moving to New Zealand someday.
Yeah, fair enough. First of all, I just want to go back to the very start of this whole journey you've been on MMA Twitter. For me, I first saw you sort of making videos or requesting people to, make donations to the Good Fight Foundation in return for a video from yourself. Is that where this whole thing started, or why this whole thing started?
Yeah, I mean, initially I was doing the videos and just kind of to pass time. And people started asking for me to do videos for them. And I was really kind of just hesitant to do it. And then I thought, well, I could probably work this out and do something for charity. And it took off a lot more than I thought it would. It was fun. I mean, we raised from the videos right around $6,000 for the Good Fight Foundation, and it was awesome. And then I guess it just kind of got me in front of more people too, which was weird. But it was a blast. The fighters liked it. Some people liked it, I guess. Not that many.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people liked it because I guess what your brand of humor has developed into, I think a lot of people seem to enjoy. I mean, you can see here my favorite band is Blink-182, so I mean, dick jokes are right up my alley.
That's perfect, man. I used to jam those guys a ton back in high school, and then it's like I think they break up for a few years. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they broke up and then came back with a different singer, but they're still churning, still churning.
Nice.
When was it that this started to develop more into just a Twitter personality per se?
I think I got addicted to it. Like I won't lie. There's like a huge dump of chemicals in your brain anytime good things happen, and so like somebody would retweet a video of mine laughing, and then I get that chemical release, and now like if I don't get like good numbers on my videos, I have to call like my therapist, and she doesn't fucking like that. She says I shouldn't call after hours, but I'm Boogerbeard, it's important, and she needs to, like, I pay her good money, and for the hour I'm there, and that covers the rest of the week too, in my mind. Uh, but no, it's definitely turned into a complete addiction. I can't get off the app. It's a problem in my personal life. I'm not taking care of anything anymore. Like I got a dog. I call my brother to feed him. He comes over for that because I'm too busy on Twitter. It's not good, man.
Oh, I
Not
mean,
good.
you've met some pretty cool people though.
Yeah, actually I met Israel Adesanya's manager in Phoenix, which that was awesome, man. Tim, great guy. Izzy was there too. But Tim, like that guy hooked it up. He's awesome. Embarrassingly though, I met him at the hotel. Like, so all the fighters and there's referees there and Bruce Buffer's there, and Tim comes out and he's wearing like sandals and like a surfing shirt or something like that. It was like a tank top, and everybody else is dressed all nice. I'm like, thank God this guy's my people. And then later on in the night, he comes up right before the main event. And he's like, hey, how's everything going? I'm like, who the hell are you? he's wearing a tuxedo, and like I didn't recognize him at all. It's so bad, man. Like people need to wear the same clothes everywhere they go, because I literally had Mac Malley leaning over to me. He's like, "That's Tim, dude. He's Tim." And Mac wasn't even there when we met him the first time. So that was pretty bad. I feel bad. Tim, if you're out there, man, I'm really sorry. And I did the same thing to Jimmy Manawa later in the night. Just, he was wearing a shirt. He shouldn't have been wearing a shirt. I would have recognized him. It's terrible. Super embarrassing.
Yeah, outside of the actual professional, I guess, fight night arena, yeah, it's quite nice seeing the different personalities and what everyone would actually be wearing if they weren't, on the job.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think fighters should ever wear shirts. It's so much harder. It's like football players should wear, well, our football, they should wear helmets everywhere. Fighters should just be half naked, wearing tight shorts. For me.
Yep, fair. I'm sure there would be a lot of people who would back you up on that one. So with everyone knows that you and Izzy have got on quite well. How did that start? Where did that start? Just talk to us about that relationship.
The Kawa, one of the Kawas, I think it's Jorge's manager, was saying something about Izzy, and it was in a negative light, and Izzy just tweeted out a screenshot of their conversation in the DMs, which was that dude begging Izzy to be his manager. And I thought that was hilarious because Izzy never responded to it and left it on red. And I offered to be his manager too. I just told him, like, if he likes blow jays, I'm the guy. And next thing I know, Izzy's following me, and I'm not, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm partially like his manager in a way now. But no, from there it was pretty organic. Like, the guy just has a good sense of humor, and it matches up with mine pretty well. And he's a pretty down to earth guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be following me. But no, it's awesome. And then like before the fights against Vittori, he just sends me a message like the Thursday night before the fights, says, "You want to go to the fights? I can get you tickets." I'm like, yeah. I mean, I called my mom first and ran around the house, and then I got back to him. I'm like, yes, I would absolutely love to go to the fights. Thank you so much. And then I called everybody I know, and nobody believed me. And which, it was a struggle to get anyone to go with because they all thought I was lying. So I ended up bringing my boss and Mac Malley, because I knew he'd love that. But my boss just didn't believe me until we actually got there. He was trying to call me out for not going into work Friday.
What was that whole fight night experience like for you? Because I remember you tweeting out that you hadn't been to a live event before that one.
Oh, it was amazing, man. It's completely different live. Not only that, though, I wasn't expecting, I guess, anybody to recognize me. Like, I thought maybe one or two people might. And I said something to my boss, like, "Hey, man, you got to call me Boogerbeard down there. I don't want people knowing my name, man." He's like, "Yeah, okay, buddy." And right when we got in the door, I was taking pictures with people. It was crazy. And then, like, just being that close to the action and seeing everything. And it was a great card. Like, it wasn't just Izzy. Like, the whole card was amazing. I mean, Moreno won his title that night. It was a little overwhelming at times. But it was just awesome. Like, best experience of my life. I mean, I went to the McGregor card a month later because of that experience. Like, it was just unbelievable seeing it live. Biggest thing, though, you can't hear the bell when you're there live. I don't know how the fighters hear that. That tripped me out because it's so loud on TV. And then you get there and you don't hear anything. And Chase Hooper fought that night. Chase is like, I love Chase Hooper, man. That guy's local here, and he got sucker punched in the third round before the handshake. But it was awesome seeing him fight too. Then Terrence McKinney. We had a lot of local guys.
That was a good card. I was going to say Terrence McKinney fought that card too for 7 seconds.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, my boss was most impressed with him And oh gosh, Jamal. Oh my God, I can't think of his last name now. Dude who had his arm ripped off by Paul Craig.
Oh, Jamal Hill.
Yes, thank you. Because we went to the after party and Jamal Hill was there having a great time with his arm in a sling. And it's like a couple hours later, you know, if that were me, I'd be off work for 6 months.
Same here. Yeah. It didn't look very comfortable.
No, I could have taken Paul Craig though. Jamal Hill should have won that.
Yeah, I think I picked Jamal Hill to win that one.
So did I.
Yeah. Yeah. But Paul Craig is very, very good on the ground, and everyone knows that.
He is. He's got a great beard.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. And yeah, good beard, good fighter. With like I said, you know, big personality on MMA Twitter these days. Was there a particular fighter that you hoped to, I don't know, have some sort of relationship with through this? Or was there like a favorite fighter that you had that you would like to converse with?
You know, I didn't expect any of the fighters to converse because I'm fairly new to Twitter. I mean, it's this account, and I had one for like a month prior. As far as I could tell, fighters and athletes, like I didn't associate them with talking to the fans a whole lot. And then once I got on here, it's pretty obvious that the fighters especially go through and make an effort to speak to fans and connect with fans. With other sports, that's not the case. So I had no expectations of fighters ever talking to me. I mean, I think the first video I did that got retweeted was a video to Aljamain Sterling. And he just was grossed out by it, and I can't blame him. It was pretty out there. But that one, when that got retweeted, I was at work, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not working the rest of the day. You know, I'm just going to stand here and read my Twitter. Didn't go well with the boss. But no, I had no expectations. Like one fighter who I would love to talk to is Habib, I guess I should say, because I've always said it wrong, and it's Habib. But I love that guy. I just love the way he's all business in the cage. And if you respect him, he's going to respect you. He's one of my all-time favorites. But no, I've had enough fighter interaction for one lifetime, you know. It's more than I ever expected.
Yeah, it's sort of just like on Twitter, especially on like in MMA, like you say, not a lot of other sports, like the athletes don't really converse with the fans as much, but MMA, they sort of make a actual attempt to go through, converse with all the people following them. Do you feel like that leads them to getting more fans?
Yeah, absolutely. I think fighters should, like, especially because it's one of the few sports where your income is derived from how many people you can pull to a fight. And the more people, like, if you interact with one fan and that fan becomes a huge fan of yours, they're going to share everything you do with their friends. They're going to force you down their family's throats at the dinner table. It's to me, it's like a spider web reaction. And so fighters especially seem to recognize that. Other sports, it's not that important. You know, you can go through your whole career without social media. If you play in the NBA, you're going to be rich. So many fighters, great fighters, never make it to the top because they don't pull enough fans. And that's a tragedy, really, because it should be about skill. It should be, but it's not. So I love seeing the way fighters are.
Yeah, and particularly some of the newer ones, like, I mean, Adrian Yanez and Randy Costa, that fight seemed to come together simply because everyone on MMA Twitter was asking for it.
Yeah, and like that was one of the first fights I've ever seen where it was they were very much being nice to each other the whole time, and that was the build up to the fight, and I loved that. I think more fighters could do that. It's rare because you have to genuinely like who you're fighting against, and then you have to be able to separate that out when you get in the cage. And so I understand why it's easier to just kind of talk shit, but I love that. I love that because I like Randy and Adrian, and they both made fans that way. I mean, it's great.
For yourself, is there a particular matchup you would like to see?
I would really, really have loved to see Habib and Tony in their prime. It's not going to happen, obviously. One's retired and the other's not in his prime anymore, in my opinion. So right now, I mean, I know they just released the Dariush Makhachev fight news, and that's one that I've always wanted to see because I feel like Dariush has enough on the ground, and I hope that he can get one back for Dan, because I'm a Makhachev hater from now on. After that, always will be. Never have been before, but I will be now. And I'm really excited for Izzy and Rob, but I kind of want to see that Pereira fight with Izzy too, because Izzy seems like he wants it, and Pereira's got to handle his business. And I mean, Izzy's not afraid to go in there and fight the guy, obviously. And it's like I keep seeing these tweets every once in a while, especially the night Pereira fought, and it's like, you know, these guys are professional athletes, and this is a totally different sport. So I'd love to see that fight, and I think Izzy would get it this time for sure. And no, he didn't force me to say that. I said that because I want him to like me.
Fair enough.
It's pandering. I'm pandering to the audience.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one, like, because everyone always brings back that photo of Izzy on the ground after Pereira knocked him out, but they always forget that the round just before that, Izzy had Pereira rocked. And in the fight before that, I mean, I thought it was, I thought Izzy won that one, but maybe that's just because I'm from New Zealand and I have to watch it back. But I feel like from memory, Israel won the fight.
Well, I don't even have to like memorize the fights. I could just have never even seen the fights, and I'm convinced Izzy won. In terms of rocking him, Pereira didn't know where he was, and I've made that decision here blindly, out of faith in Izzy. So, I'm never picking against Izzy. Are you kidding me? That guy's so, like, everything he did for me. No, Izzy would dominate that. It'd be over in one.
I like it. In terms of being on MMA Twitter, I know there was that little awkward period where your account got suspended for whatever reason. And yeah, guys like Izzy and Michael Bisping asking for Twitter to let you back on. What was that whole period like for you? And how much did it mean to you to see guys like that wanting to see you back?
Oh man. Well, obviously it was not a happy time. Initially I was like, whatever. And then like more and more, I was like, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever. How could I live without Twitter? And, but then people would send me messages with pictures of guys like that saying, where's Booger? Free Boogerbeard. That was a huge lift. It's like, I'm just a guy making jokes on the internet. So to see people like that and just regular people even tweeting out free Boogerbeard and everything. And then they let me back on because, God, like 3 months later, they're like, oh, actually, you didn't violate the rules. That was our bad. I mean, it was literally the most benign comment that I made, just flagged the algorithm. I said, we were talking about Skyrim, which is like the greatest game ever. And we were debating our characters, like which character would win. And when it became clear that the guy's character I was talking to was 1,000 times more powerful than mine, I just said, yeah, well, my guy will just stab you in the back. Or actually, I think I said, I'll stab you in the back. But I was being in character, like we're talking about our character. And that flagged the algorithm. It sucked. But I'm back now. I'll never go away. You can't stop Boogerbeard. Like, I just won't stop. But no, that was killer.
Yeah, that and I think it's the same on Instagram now. If you mention anything sort of along the lines of killing, they aren't happy. I've also found on Instagram that you can't comment "men are trash."
What?
Yeah, you can't comment that. It'll get deleted immediately. Just out of interest.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you comment women are trash?
Oh, because they're not. But men, on the other hand, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's just trash human beings. I'm not going to go down the chauvinist rabbit hole I was about to go down. Just never a good idea.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. In terms of what you wanted to, well, I guess you didn't really set out to achieve anything aside from raising money for the Good Fight Foundation, but has it got to a point where you can now sort of make goals with this persona and sort of try and build the brand and just keep building it into something huge one day?
Yeah, I mean, I did try. I did. A guy wanted to kind of back things and try to make a show around it. And what I found is that I am bad at that. And then I also got very sick right after we started, but I had already done a bad job prior to that, so that's not an excuse. Realistically, I mean, I probably want to do some stand up at some point, but I got to like come up with jokes that are funny for that. I'm a very go with the flow person, so it's hard for me to make goals and then go, all right, I'm going to follow through with this goal. Usually I just kind of just roll through life and see what happens. It's a terrible mindset. I highly recommend that people make goals and work towards them. I do not do that ever. I mean, my goal is to like, can I get pizza on Friday night? I can, I'm good. So no, I'd like to move forward and do something with this. Seems like a waste to not, but it's also hard to like make a career off of tweeting. So you got to get outside the Twitter sphere, I think.
Where did the name Boogerbeard originate?
It's a bad story because all it is I was just making an account. And like a couple days prior, like a booger had fallen out of my beard or out of my nose and into my beard. And my friend had been like, hey man, you got a booger in your beard. I'm like, cool. But I didn't really think of that. I just kind of was typing and I typed Boogerbeard and I'm like, oh, that's probably, I'll go with that. All right. I wish I would have picked a much cooler name. I wish it would have been like cool guy 69 420 MMA or something like that. That's a mouthful. Boogerbeard it's got alliteration in it, man.
Alliteration is the best way to go if you're trying to make something memorable.
Yeah. I mean, it rolls off the tongue and it's not disgusting. It's a little gross, but I have a dirty beard, Chris.
It is what it is. When you got to the fight night, got to watch Izzy win that title, you obviously went to the after party. Was there anything that Israel said to you that sort of stuck?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting like any, I don't know what I was expecting. He made a lot of time for us, not just me, but the people who came with. But one thing he said is that he called me a good cunt. Which I'm told is a good thing in New Zealand. Otherwise, I could have been bad, you know.
That's a huge compliment down here.
Yeah, and he just said that. I mean, he liked what I did, obviously, and wanted to give me a little bit more of a platform because he said that he was tired of seeing bad people getting the platforms, and not to say that I'm like a saint or anything, but it meant a lot coming from him. Because it's true. If you look around, there's a lot of people who have huge platforms that all they do is just insult other people and spew negativity, and it's like it doesn't need to be that way. We shouldn't be giving those people attention. So I really appreciated that because he was telling me I was a good guy. You know, coming from Izzy, that's awesome.
I've noticed sort of more recently, maybe that's just me noticing it or you doing it more, that there's been a lot more sort of positive affirmations coming from your account. Although they have like the Boogerbeard little twist. Like there was one the other day that I saw saying something along the lines of don't hold on to things because you're going to die one day.
Yeah. Well, and some of those things are just random things, like where I'm tweeting out, like, "Oh, give me a few likes here. I need it for my endorphins." But no, there's a lot of people who, I mean, you see it when you go on social media. It's just all negativity from them, and it's like, how are you ever going to find any sort of happiness in your life if all you're focusing on is the bad things in it? And I just think people should lighten up. Life has a lot of good and a lot of bad. You're going to get a little of both. So, I mean, just try to focus on the good things, anyways. But no, I'm never going to be like a choir boy out there. I might virtue signal some nice things every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm a terrible, terrible human being.
Just on Twitter, I know a lot of people will see sort of the comment sections of people like Jesse Jess, who get very interesting comments to pretty much anything they post. Are you finding that with yourself? Because I mean, I put a call out for questions, and I think I got grosser questions for you than I did for Jess.
So yeah, I get the comments are weird, but I love them. For the most part, it's people trying to make jokes. Very rarely do people say anything to be mean to me. Jess, I've seen some things on hers, and sometimes I feel a little bad, but she's tough, so I'm sure she lets it roll off her shoulder most of the time. But no, I mean, yeah, I saw when you put the tweet out, and I started seeing all the comments on there. I'm like, he's not going to get one serious question from these people. That's more of a reflection of me, so that's to be expected with me. Sorry about that, Chris.
Oh, that's all good. A little bit of entertaining reading for my Sunday morning. I did find a few questions for you. So
you did?
Yeah, I did find a few. But before I get to those, I just wanted to ask you one more thing. Chael Sonnen mentioned you a few weeks ago in one of his videos. Said you and him met up for burgers. He was very complimentary of you and sort of your mindset. Can you just tell us a little bit about your meeting with Uncle Chael and how things went there? What was the discussion like?
It was very interesting. First of all, I was half convinced that he was trolling me, and that I was going to drive all the way down. It was like an hour and a half drive, and I would get there and he wouldn't be there. Well, I roll up and there's Chael with one of his kids in his arms, standing right next to my truck. I was early, so I was like sitting there, and I look up and there's Chael, and he brought his family. We went in. It was an awesome burger. His family is amazing. And then Chael is the most down to earth dude. Like it was so weird seeing him in person, because I've watched Chael since I was, God, young, when I still felt young too. And he was just very nice and let me ask all sorts of questions, confirmed some old MMA rumors were true regarding, I don't know if I should say, regarding pride fighting. And then like he didn't just pay for my burger, he paid for other people at the bar. It's like I Stanich's is the name. Shout out Stanich's. They were amazing. We talked about Andy Kaufman for a long time, because I'm a big Andy Kaufman fan, and so is Chael, as it turned out, and which I should have known, given like he loves wrestling. So Andy Kaufman had a good run in wrestling in the, I say it was the early to mid 80s, but so it was just a very, very chill conversation. I love that. That was one of the cooler experiences I've had, very down to earth, and I was just surprised that he would bring his family to meet someone like me. I would have maybe just based on my Twitter presence, but I guess Chael isn't like, he doesn't have any reason to fear anybody. He can bring anyone anywhere, and he's the toughest guy in the room, But it was awesome, man.
Was that set up? Did you sort of hit him up, or did he say to you, "Hey, I'd be interested in sitting down for a chat"?
Oh, that was just, he tweeted something out, and then I just said, "Hey, Chael, let's meet up for burgers, man. I'll drive to Portland anytime." And And then he messages me. He goes, "I'm in 100%. Are you joking or are you serious?" I'm like, "Well, I'm serious now. I was joking, but so that was awesome. So I guess it was kind of half me, but mostly him because I was kidding around. It wasn't even a good joke.
You got to shoot your shot. Things
Yeah.
like this happen. All right, man. Well, I will get to these. I think I have 6 questions for you from Twitter. I figure any of the other ones you can go back and answer yourself. So yeah, I've picked some of the more tame ones that came through. First of all, from It's Me, Scott. What are your favorite albums from the year?
Favorite albums from this year?
From this year.
Oh, man, I haven't listened to one new album in like 5 years. I'm not sure if it's from this year, but Mastodon is the newest album I've listened to. I think it's this year. And I don't know the name of the album, but it's awesome because Troy Sanders, their bass player, is more heavily focused or heavily featured rather in the vocals, and I love his voice. But no, I haven't listened to a whole lot of new music. I'm at that age where I'm stuck in what I was listening to anywhere from 7 to 15 years ago, and that's all I know anymore.
Yeah, you sound like me. I've spent most of this year just listening to music from 2006.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at, man. I listen to a lot. Like, I love metal. And there's been so many great metal bands over the years that I don't need any new ones.
Fair enough.
Taylor Swift is great, though.
Taylor Swift is incredible. Let's throw that in there. Make sure everyone knows. And if they want to debate that, go to Joe Benavidez and he'll put you in his place.
Yeah, you don't mess with Joe.
From Jimmy Jamney, what came first, the booger or the beard? I think we've already established that the beard came first.
Well, I was born with the beard. I don't know. I'd have to ask my mom that. I would think the beard, definitely.
Grew it in the womb. From Juan Martin Vicio, have you ever trained in MMA or would you like to train in MMA one day?
I've seen a lot of fights on television, which I think, like, I'm pretty qualified.
It's basis for MMA, yep.
Yeah, that's my base. I did take a year of wrestling. I boxed with friends growing up, but it's like, and I went to a karate class like twice when I was in kindergarten. But I got mad they wouldn't give me one of the cooler belts, so I left. And because I felt I was the best. But no, I'm not a tough guy at all. I know how to do a calamari roll, which is a great jujitsu thing. I demonstrated the other day, but no, I'm kind of a weakling. Like, I'm a very weak man, so I try to hang around a lot of tough guys so that nobody will mess with me.
Fair enough. It's a good tactic.
Yeah, it's worked for me.
Yep. From Punch Drunk Pod, when do you plan to defend the belt?
Oh man, if I could find somebody who could stand up to the previous, I just explained to you how good I am at fighting. So I would defend my belt tomorrow, but nobody will take the fight. Ironically, there was somebody on Twitter, UFC Stats, I think it was, trying to set up an MMA Twitter fight night. And I was like, I'll do it. He was going to pay $1,000 to the main event. So I retweeted and said, anybody who takes this fight, $1,000 to fight me. Like, I'll do anything for $1,000. I'll throw a fight. I don't care. I will lose on purpose just to get out of there with my money. And nobody took it. People are scared of me, man. And so that offer is still there, I think. If anybody wants to fight, you can come try to get my belt. You're not going to leave with it. My belt is, I earned my belt more than Aljamain Sterling did. So I'm a tough guy, notwithstanding the weakness I mentioned earlier. No, I'll do it right now.
Excellent. A robot ostrich wants to know why. Yeah, it's a good one, eh? Why are you so passionate about MMA as a fan? Maybe where did your passion for the sport come from as well? Throw that in there too.
I think just seeing just two human beings getting into a cage and being that violent, like, first of all, that's one thing. But then the way that they show respect for each other almost always afterwards, I just can't see a more. There's no other sport like that. There's no other sport like that. And like I love sports in general, but MMA is the ultimate form of competition. I mean, it's two human beings. There's nobody else there. And it just doesn't get better than that. Like, I love watching a good American football game, not watching that football you guys, like the whole rest of the world. Do you call it football, soccer?
Yeah, we call it sort of both. Some of us just refer to it as soccer football, so that we've just covered both.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Call it that. I call it kickball most of the time. But like, you're never gonna see that same level of ultimate competition, which I wonder if that's why it's called the Ultimate Fighting Championship. But it's just amazing. I just love seeing it, and I love, especially, my favorite type of fight is not an ultra competitive fight. I love when I see one side just getting beaten silly. Not only is that entertaining, but then there's always the respect afterwards. Almost always. I wish more guys would give Izzy respect afterwards. It seems like he beats everybody, and then they keep talking afterwards. It's like, just shake his hand and he'll let you off the hook. But these guys, they don't know when enough's enough, especially Vettori. Like, to think I'm going to go off on a rant about Marvin Vettori, so I'll cut it short. But that, some of that shit after the fight, it's like, come on, you lost clearly.
Yeah, I feel like part of that is simply because they know if they mention Izzy's name, their comments are going to get traction on the media. I think that's got part of something to do with it.
That's probably it for a lot of fighters, but Vettori can't even figure out how to put his pants on. So I doubt he's thinking that hard into it. Like, that guy legitimately thinks that he won. And that's insane. Or he thinks, sorry, he thinks, what do you say? He fought a smart fight, but he's not a better fighter. And it's like, being smart is part of fighting, last time I heard. I don't like Vettori.
Fair enough. Moving on. From Wonderbread MMA, what is your take on pink frosted sprinkled donuts? I'm assuming he means like the ones you see on The Simpsons.
Yeah. And I know Wonderbread. He's Australian, so I'm looking for the trap here, because the Australians, they don't like me too much. I love pink frosted donuts, though. I'm not gonna denigrate donuts. Like, I'll eat any donut. It's a breakfast item here. I tend to get like a dozen of them in the morning, baker's dozen. That's 13 of them. And that's all I eat until about 11 a.m. Just donuts every day. Keeps me healthy, keeps my blood sugar in where it's a little elevated. But nah, that's a great question, Wonderbread, even though you're Australian. No offense. No offense.
I just had a couple more sort of off kilter ones. You said before that you're a fan of all the sports outside of MMA. What maybe top 3 sports you'd follow, and maybe favorite athletes in those sports?
Baseball, football, and basketball for sure.
America.
Baseball. Oh yeah. Well, we're what matters,
Absolutely.
I would say baseball. Ken Griffey Jr. got me into the sport for sure, because I was a little kid when he was in Seattle just doing crazy things. But anymore, I'd say my favorite player ever is Ichiro. And then football, I mean, I'm a huge Marshawn Lynch guy. Just seeing, like, there's nobody who's run like that in the last 30 or 40 years. He ran through people instead of around them. I love that. Basketball, I have a love-hate relationship with. I used to absolutely love basketball. I mean, I played all 3 of those sports growing up. But then Oklahoma City stole my Sonics. So now I only watch college basketball. I've watched maybe one NBA game since the Sonics moved. Used to never miss a game. And so I'm a UW Huskies fan, which over in New Zealand, that's probably meaningless to a lot of people, but I love my Huskies. And Nate Robinson is my favorite Husky ever. 5'7", I think he is. And I mean, he dunked on Yao Ming. Like, I love my Huskies, and that's it for basketball anymore, unless the Sonics come back.
Yeah, bring back the Sonics.
Yeah, it's time, man. We've got a stadium. It's great. Everybody wants the Sonics back. I will streak through the stadium, through the entire arena, if the Sonics come back. I'll put that on record. They're never coming back now.
No. And just lastly, we had this one come in for Eugene Berriman earlier in the week from the Baines MMA, but I'm just going to start asking it to everyone because it's quite a fun question. Do you have a favorite romantic comedy?
Knocked Up, I think. Knocked Up. People used to tell me I looked like Seth Rogen. And the lovely lady in that was very funny. I forget her name. She didn't.
Katherine Heigl, wasn't it?
Yes. I thought she was really funny. The whole cast was funny. And so Knocked Up, if that counts as a rom-com, I think it is. I mean, it all worked out in the end. But yeah, that's one of the funnier ones I think I've ever seen. Of course, Baines wants to know about rom-coms. That's typical of the turtleneck wearing guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's keeping it on brand. Okay, man. Well, that's all the time I need to take off your hands today. Unless there was something specific you wanted to get across during this interview, you have the floor now to do so.
Oh man, I didn't prepare a speech or anything, but I just want to say that thank you for having me on. Everyone should be checking out what you do. I get all my New Zealand and Australian MMA news from you. I don't think there's anybody else, man. So I just appreciate the opportunity to come on. I know you had Dan Hooker. I mean, you get all the big name stars on here, and now you've got a Z-list Twitter personality on here, and I appreciate that, man.
You're welcome anytime, mate. Thank you very much for making the time, and no doubt we'll chat again soon.